Welcome to the Next Level Podcast with Brian Daniels. Ooh, boom shakalaka.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this brand new episode of The Next Level. And it's just the two of us. It's a tag team today. It's just myself. And welcoming back to the show. It's been a little bit, right? We got Bryce Schumacher, Big BS.
What's happening, everybody?
Good to see you, Bryce. We're trying something a little new. We're going to do this will be the video version. So if you're watching this on our YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed yet, which you should, by the way, you need to subscribe to us here on YouTube so you can start watching some of our video episodes of The Next Level. We do a whole lot of other videos too. We talk about gaming, pop culture, and entertainment. And that's why we're called the Domain GPCE. And we've got a big topic today that Bryce and I are going to talk about, and something that was that came out from Xbox Era published a little article this week, and Bryce and I are gonna go over this article. But before we do that, I want to talk about our sponsor of our podcast here, ExpressVPN. So if you don't know what a VPN is, a VPN is a virtual private network. It's going to basically allow you to keep your IP address from being exposed to people online who might want to do damage to your identity. It also helps prevent you from getting designated denial of service attacks online while you're gaming. You can also use it to be able to watch like other countries' versions of Netflix and things like that, all at the your fingertips. So you'll be able to use it. You can go to expressvpn.com/the-next-level. I'm having a hard time talking for some reason right now. You can go to expressvpn.com/the-next-level, and you can sign up for a 12-month plan and get 3 months free on top of a 12-month plan. You can also do a 1-month plan or a 6-month plan on there as well. And that way it keeps you safe on gaming, keeps your speeds on gaming good, and it protects your identity and all that good stuff that a virtual private network does. Anyway, now that I got through that ad somehow, hopefully the rest of this show will be better. So what we're going to be talking about today, while Bryce wears a PlayStation controller t-shirt, which I think is pretty hilarious. So Xbox Era came out with this article recently. I just had the damn thing up in front of me. I don't know why I did with it. That they're going to be that Microsoft plans to launch Starfield on the PlayStation 5. This is huge. This is something that I don't think any of us expected to happen. In the realm of gaming. But however, according to Xbox Era, it says, according to sources, we understand that currently Microsoft are planning a launch for Starfield on PS5 post-release of their already announced Shattered Space expansion for Xbox and PC, which is on target to arrive at some point later this year.
Yeah.
We've also been informed that Microsoft have made additional investment into PS5 dev kits. That's interesting.
Yeah.
To support
I've heard some leaks and stuff going on.
Development efforts. Yeah. So
If
with
somebody
that,
leaked some Microsoft's business plans.
Yeah.
For the future.
Yeah. So with that, it sparked a wildfire of rumors that Microsoft is going to start putting some of their games on other consoles.
Mm-hmm.
Which really at this point would be mostly the PlayStation. Right?
Yeah. Hi-Fi Rush, I think they said was coming.
Yep, Hi-Fi Rush.
PlayStation, Sea of Thieves.
Yep.
Indiana Jones is supposed
Indiana
to
Jones,
be a PS5 release.
Mm-hmm. So I have an idea of what I think Microsoft's going to do, because Phil Spencer did announce on Twitter that there's gonna be an upcoming like business event.
Mm-hmm.
I think
some
it's
announcements
Thursday?
Next week or something. Yeah,
something like that. And that's gonna talk about the future gaming. Now, Bryce, we covered this here on YouTube. There was some leaks last year where the future of Xbox and what they're going to do with new consoles coming out, potentially a new Xbox controller later on down the road coming out. This was all leaked in the Activision Blizzard Microsoft court case with the FTC. And a lot of these documents came out. I went over them. We've talked about them before. Before I get into my whole what I think Microsoft's future is going to be, what do you think about this whole thing, Bryce? What do you think about Starfield? I know, Bryce, you made a really hilarious joke about how to play Starfield on your PlayStation 5.
Yeah,
but now it's
not even funny anymore.
It's not a joke now. I mean,
so
what do you think about this, man?
Honestly, it makes sense from a business standpoint for Microsoft to do that, especially with the kind of mixed reviews that Starfield got. I think maybe they didn't sell as well as they had hoped or planned for. And so now they're kind of trying to pick up the pieces and get to that number, and or what can we do? So they're thinking, all right, let's put it on other consoles. Why are we keeping ourselves from getting these extra dollars on the game? Originally, the thought is if we make it exclusive, they'll buy more consoles and then buy more Xbox games. And so they're trying to use Starfield to drive up console sales, and maybe it didn't work as they planned. So they're like, all right, we'll just throw it on PlayStation since there's already 100 million people with PlayStations.
Of course.
Yep. So it makes sense. I think that, the days of exclusive games are kind of dwindling faster as we get into the more digital age of games and stuff. Okay. Other than Nintendo, they seem like, they've got a good grip on their exclusives, staying there. But Xbox has always had a hard time competing with Nintendo and Sony in the console wars. And so, they're always going to be trying to think of something different to do to try to close that gap.
Yeah.
So putting their exclusives out on all the other on anybody that'll have it makes a lot of sense. But I'm a huge Xbox fan, and I think that I hope that they don't go the direction of Sega, which is what a lot of the rumors have kind of led us down to believe, that they're going to get out of the hardware game and just be a software provider through their Game Pass subscription and the studios that they've been buying up.
Right. Yeah. So it's funny you mentioned that, because I was gonna that was where the majority of this conversation was going to lead. So I mean, of course, Microsoft has had a hard time selling consoles, which can in turn have a hard time selling games.
Yeah. And honestly, driving, I get why you want people to have your console, so they buy your games and play the games on your console. But honestly, they lose money on the console. You know what I mean? So it makes sense from a business standpoint to try to start cutting out the console and just selling the games if they can do it on other platforms, because the consoles, generally the companies lose money on it so that they can get you in and sell you games and then make money there, accessories and subscriptions and all that type of stuff. But so it makes sense to start cutting out the hardware if you're not making money.
Oh no, I completely agree.
And we've seen Game Pass. Now you can play Game Pass on the new Samsung TVs through an app through the cloud. You can play it on the Oculus now. So they're already kind of branching that way. Sony and Nintendo haven't jumped on board with letting Xbox, put a flag on their moon, so to speak. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. But
I'm a firm believer in. I've been talking about this whole Game Pass service since it came out, which I think now it's been around for like 4 years now or so, 4 or 5. And I'd like to think that like Microsoft's a very forward-thinking company, and you have to be.
They have to get creative
in this space. Try to
compete.
So, what I want to get into, Bryce, is what I foresee their plan for the future is And this is a plan that I think is forever going to change the landscape of video gaming as we see it now. So here's the thing, right? I think it's safe to say, and we've also talked about this before. We've had conversations about physical versus digital media. It's safe to say that Microsoft and Sony are both pushing the digital space. Both have consoles that are out in the current generation of gaming that you are able to purchase, and you are only going to be able to use digital media. You cannot use physical. With the exception of the PlayStation, the new one they came out with, that does allow you to attach a hard drive to, which I encountered that product about a week or two ago at a GameStop, which I thought was really weird. That's something I never dreamed of seeing. The last time we had seen something, similar to that was, if you recall, on the Xbox 360, the HD DVD attachment.
The Blu-ray wars, and what was going to be the next big format.
Yep, and then of course before that you had the 64 disc drive, which never came to the United States. That was it was a Japanese only product, and then before that, we in America got the Sega CD. Right, so we've had having an attachment in some way that is a disc drive is not an unusual thing, but in this instance, it's kind of unusual considering it's for a digital console, but whatever. A hybrid, right? So
sometimes I guess if the internet's down, you got to pop in the disc, and play a DVD.
Well, the problem though is I think you have to have the internet to use the disc drive. I think there was a thing where you had to actually connect to the internet
initially to set it up. You had to register it online or something, but
to set it up. So let's be realistic here. The seeds are planted for a future of digital gaming, right?
Oh yeah.
I have always been of the mindset of I expect within the next maybe 10 to 15 years, consoles are going to be a thing that don't exist anymore.
Right.
And when that current generation happens, right?
Maybe just in mobile form, like with the Switch or something,
Here's what I anticipate happening. And I think Microsoft is going to lead the charge with Game Pass. So, Game Pass as it stands is only available on two mediums. It's only available on the PC, and it's only available on an Xbox. You can also do Game Pass cloud-based games on your phone. But that's not I think that's some games. I don't know if maybe it is all of the games. I think all of the games you can.
I think anything that's on Game Pass is
cloud gaming. You can play it without downloading it.
But then you can also do remote play, like if you have your Xbox hooked up at home,
right?
Play your installed games through your phone. But but they do have the cloud streaming now on the Oculus, and like I said, the new models.
Yes, and I've tried the Oculus. Yeah, that was So what I think Microsoft is going to do is imagine your Netflix, and I'm using Netflix because they are the best comparison to Game Pass.
It's and they're putting games on their service now.
So imagine your Netflix, and imagine Netflix started out. Let's just use this as an analogy. Imagine Netflix when they first started; they were a subscription-based service that was digital only, and they said, "All right, we're going to start out on PlayStation. The only way to play Netflix is you have to buy a PlayStation to use Netflix." And then Netflix one day decided, you know what, we can make a lot of money if we just opened it up to everybody else.
Right.
That is what I think Microsoft is going to do. And I think that is the shift here is
they're
looking at themselves, they're looking at their numbers, and they're like, we're going to be real. We are not doing well in the console sales market. They're honest about it. Phil Spencer has even said this. They know that the PlayStation 5 is killing it in sales.
Yeah, well, they said, but he said we lost the console wars.
And that's fine. And that's fine.
Yeah, and that's not. Yeah.
But hear me out. I don't think they ever were really interested in console battling anyway.
Yeah, that's more of like a fan thing.
That is
created. You know what I mean?
that is a thing, because I want to stress to people that are listening or watching this is I have a lot of people that I know in the gaming industry, in the video game industry. We all work in the video game industry ourselves for what we do here. One of my favorite people to watch videos of is Alana Pierce. She works at Santa Monica Studios. She's made God of War. And the people I've talked to that may have made games like that or Red Dead Redemption and things, that is, if you think that these people only play their games that they make, or if they work for, say, a company that is an exclusive, like Alana Pierce works for Sony Santa Monica. So she is making games on PlayStation console. Right. Do you guys think that she only plays PlayStation?
No, she's got a Switch, she's got an Xbox, she's got a 64.
Of course. So when we look at the crap online that a lot of you engage in the console wars, we're just like, this is stupid. This is tribalism. It's silly, because I may have a Sonic the Hedgehog hat and he might have a PlayStation shirt, but does that mean that I only play Sonic the Hedgehog and he only plays PlayStation? No. We are multi-console gamers.
I've encountered that though before, like not a lot lately, but back growing up, back in elementary school, it was like Nintendo or Sega, and people were like,
and that's a different era, because back then we only had consoles to play games on. Right, and we barely even had PC. Now you can play Sonic on your phone, on your laptop, on your even your TV now has gaming.
Right. Netflix has it now,
The amount of options you have on where you want to play your games are greatly up there versus where you and I grew up, where it really was like Sega or a Nintendo. That's all we had. We don't, so we have to kind of, as gamers should be growing up, which some of y'all haven't done that, and getting to a place where now it's like, why are we so like concerned with like our plastic box or your plastic box you play on? Because I look out like this, okay? I am all about accessibility. So if Halo was going to be on PS5, great, power to it.
And I just want
I don't care
in the community. That's like when we do these these console wars, it just slows the progress of making great tech and making great stories and coming up with new ideas, while we're so focused on who's outselling who, or we can't focus on just making a new creative product.
No, so for me, I agree. I completely agree.
It just stifles creativity and progress, I think, for the gaming community. But
I agree. I think that we should be past the point of having fights over consoles. I think it's silly. I think it's immature. I think it's dumb. When I see people getting over, they say my console's better than your console. I'm like, I don't really care anymore. Like I don't like.
I've got 10.8 teraflops, or whatever. Like
I do think it comes.
How's it play?
I do think for some of us that are multi-console owners, it's a little privilege, because we just sit back and we watch the children, fight, and I'm like, I don't care, because I'm in a position that I'm not going to ask, or I'm not missing anything. I'm not missing a game. But back to what I was getting at was, I think Microsoft is in the position where, you know what? We lost the game in consoles. That's obvious. We're not going to win in the console war. I think what's going to start next is the battle of services. I think it's going to be a service thing, because you know what makes Netflix and all so great is their exclusive shows, right? Where else can you watch Stranger Things? Unless you do it illegally.
So
where else can you watch, all the other content that they have on there? Netflix, right? That they have. So here's what I think is going to happen, and hear me out. What I think Microsoft is going to do, because they're not going to just say this week or next week, hey, we're done with consoles, so thanks for buying them. We're done supporting them. That's not going to happen.
No.
They have to support what's out now. So what I think is going to happen is, and this is why Microsoft bought all of these little, they wanted to buy all the Infinity Gems, right? They wanted to own everything. What they're going to do, and this is why they said, oh no, we're not going to not allow PlayStation. We're not going to keep games from them.
Right.
So hear me out. This is what I think their business model is going to be. I could be dead ass wrong. I think what they're going to do is, if you want to play Starfield on your PS5, you got to have Game Pass. You cannot buy Starfield for the PlayStation 5. See how that works? Much in the same way you cannot buy Stranger Things necessarily on Netflix.
Right.
There are ways to buy it.
Maybe a DVD or something.
But I think what's going to happen is Game Pass is going to have exclusives.
Right.
And that is where the form of exclusivity is going to lie in.
Right.
Is in the services. And then for PlayStation to compete, they are going to have to make PSN a real service too. Right. And really build up their catalog and say, okay, we can play tit for tat. So starting now, we're also going to make our exclusives only bought, only played on PlayStation Network. And that's how it's going to work. Now, if you have a console, if you have the Xbox, that's where you can purchase Starfield. Do you see how that's different? Right. So, and I think that is where we're headed to. I think that is what the future landscape of gaming is going to be. I think what's going to happen is they want to be the Netflix of gaming.
Oh yeah.
They want, and how, what reason do you have to get Netflix over Hulu, right? Is what does Netflix have that Hulu doesn't? What does Amazon Prime have that Netflix doesn't? The Boys, right? So that's why people tune in and have Amazon Prime, because they want to watch The Boys. Right. It's going to come down to that. The console wars are in my opinion akin to cable TV wars. Who are you? Who's buying the box? Because if you think about it, plastic boxes for cable TV aren't even around anymore.
Right.
I have
the smart TVs.
Because I have Spectrum.
Yeah, you just run the app.
And when I went to go and look into getting TV because I want to watch football and stuff.
Yeah.
There was nothing there about renting a DVR, renting a box. I'm like, whoa, are they really just going full on? That they're doing now. They are doing it, and that's where that's where the gaming is headed. There's not going to be a console you play your games on anymore. It's going to be a service, because services are easily able to be accessed on multiple different ways. Yeah. Now, there's a problem. People want to own things.
Right.
So what Xbox is going to have to figure out is, how can people own things and not feel like they need a subscription service?
Right.
So,
there's still Steam, there's PC game sales, and, Microsoft does put the games on there.
That's a thing they're going to have to etch out and figure out, is how can they make it to where people feel like they can still own something?
Right. Well, and now it's,
you know what I mean?
You see Microsoft with the Game Pass kind of taking the model that Netflix has been doing. Like you said, they want to be the Netflix of video games. But now Netflix is borrowing from Game Pass, and they're like, oh, this Game Pass is actually making them money, so let's start putting games on our service. So what I see maybe possibly happening with Game Pass is that maybe they will start getting their own TV series and movies on their service as well down the line. They'll probably try to, once they get, their momentum the way they want it, I feel like they're not going to stop at video games, just like Netflix isn't stopping with, movies and such. Or at least packaging in, bundling. Oh, you get Game Pass and some other streaming service for a cheaper price together, like you see with Disney and ESPN and Hulu. I see them kind of going into other medias as well outside of just the gaming, especially now that we got the Halo series, we got all these different series and movies that are being based off video games. Apparently there's a Gears of War movie in the works. So we're going to see maybe those type of things become exclusives to Game Pass also, but then it shifts. It's like, oh, Game Pass, now we have all of our Halo series, Gears of War movie, or whatever Microsoft's got their hands in as far as movies, Fallout series. I see them kind of going that direction, maybe further down the line, 10 years or so. But I think if there's if they want to keep making money, they'll probably mix in some other services in there with it.
Yeah.
Because you see Netflix borrowing from them, and then now they're borrowing from Netflix, and it's just
right.
like, okay, everybody's making money doing this. Who's going to find the way to do it better?
Yeah. And the thing about music too is, like, I know I've made the case for, like, well, music's digital. Most people really enjoy music digitally. But you still can go and buy, like, CDs and albums and stuff.
Well, it's just the accessibility of being
able
to say, play this right now.
Yeah. So that's why I don't think the console itself as a medium is going away anytime soon, because what Microsoft has to figure out is how can we sell a service more than we sell a console?
Right. And as of now, nothing's been confirmed. It's all just leaks and rumors.
This is all just,
all we know for sure probably is that Starfield's coming out on PS5. The exclusives are going to start dropping on other consoles.
Yeah.
As far as the getting out of the console game, that's just all speculation for now.
And not that, but they might even still keep going with the consoles and just sell and put their focus on selling a service, because if they can if they can say, hey, okay, we're going to have Xbox games. If you want to play Xbox games, you have to have Game Pass. But if you want to own them, you have to have a console. Then that could be the way they do it, because then they could say, well, because think about it. What better way to get people to maybe buy your console is if you sell them a service on another platform, and they're like, man, I want to own this game.
Yeah.
Guess what you're doing? You're giving them a reason to buy your console at that point.
Part of the deal with Game Pass is that you get a discount on games. If you decide to purchase a game that's on Game Pass, you get like a 10-15% discount off the sticker price if you buy it while it's on Game Pass. So if they do put Game Pass on other consoles, it'd be one of those things like, how am I going to use that benefit if I can't buy the game on my PlayStation? You know what I mean? So that's going to be something they'll have to figure out too, is like, maybe all the games have to be purchasable on the PS5 too. You know what I mean? Anything that you're putting on Game Pass.
Yeah, I don't know. I
really give them the full Game Pass benefits.
I don't think that they want to make their games purchasable on another console. I think they want.
Yeah, well, because a lot of games on Game Pass are already on PlayStation Network anyway. So, a lot of the independent games, a lot of, it's the exclusives that aren't really.
It's the exclusives. That's what I mean. I think what they want to do is they want you to. I think what Microsoft's going to end up probably making it is the exclusives will be on Game Pass. So if you want to play Starfield, you'll have to buy Game Pass and download it on your PS5, right? Because I think where Microsoft's headed is they're going to do they're going to pull a Sega and go full third party. They want to make games.
I don't see it happening for a while though, just because that leak of the new Series X is supposed to be coming out, the digital version. They're not done with this era yet. You know what I mean?
That won't be for quite a while. I would say within the next 5 years, maybe.
Right.
I think there's a 5-year gap here, and I think in 5 years they're going to end up becoming a full third party company.
Yeah, they're sitting there thinking, like, should we bother making a new console this next generation, or what's our plan here? You know what I mean? Because
you gotta wonder, because I don't think a lot of people realize this, that these guys don't make a whole lot of money on consoles.
No,
they don't profit as much as people think they do.
Right.
It's why you don't hear so much about. You hear more about units sold rather than how much they've made.
Yeah, because they're losing money on that.
because
But then
they're
again, you
not
on the subscriptions,
yeah,
like you said, Game Pass,
right.
or just the games in general, or accessories, buying new controllers, headsets and
Yeah.
cases and whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're definitely making their money off of the services, not the hardware. Because hardware costs more money. They are not making nowhere near as much on, because I would imagine Sega, since the early 2000s when they decided to pull out of the console race. I mean, they've made pretty good money. They're still making games. They're making Sonic games. They made that new
They're
Sonic
making
Superstars game.
movies,
They're
Sonic
making
movies that are
movies.
really good.
They've got the Yakuza series, that they
Mhm.
do. They've done really well for themselves. And if
Yeah,
if they've never felt like they've had to make a console, so they're
yeah,
doing something right. I think Microsoft is at the point now where, like, why don't we just turn Xbox into a brand and not a console? And I think that's what's going to happen, and
mhm.
it's gonna be as weird as it was, probably even weirder, knowing that now there might end up being only two major hardware makers
Yeah,
left, and it's Sony and Nintendo.
yeah, they're both right out of Japan.
So I I don't know. I
Like
know we've got
nobody
a
in the rest
new
of the world wants to make a console.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I just think I think that kind of
yeah, it's
ties
just
back
where
to
we're
where we're
at.
headed.
Yeah.
We're headed to
I mean, our
a
phones are so
hardware.
powerful, and these days, we can run a lot of stuff on that. They're putting out
I think
Resident
we're
Evil 4
headed.
remake on the newest iPhone, and a ton of
Mhm,
other games coming to the iPhone 15. So it's like our
mhm.
phones these days are, powerful enough to play most of the games that we
Yeah,
want to play.
yeah. I think we're coming
You
to a
don't even need a
consoleless
console,
future of gaming. I think that we're going to end up not needing consoles anymore. That
right?
whatever hardware you already own, laptop,
Right.
phone, TV,
It's gonna become very like niche market. It's just
yeah.
like
And
retro market.
it'll be interesting to see how cheaper the games become if they do, because if if a if these gaming companies no longer make consoles, which I think the only one that will continue to make consoles will be Nintendo. I don't see Nintendo going full digital. They're too old school for that.
No, yeah,
Um,
they're hanging on to the
they're known
cartridges.
for their actual hardware, so they're not going to stop making hardware.
Yeah,
But I
and they
can
like doing it. They
definitely
make
see.
creative things like the Switch and Game Boys and 3DS, and they're
Mhm.
making like cool, creative products. They're
Yeah.
not just like slapping a bunch of chips in a box and like Xbox. I'm looking at this white brick. You know what I mean? You look at the Switch, it's like, wow,
Mhm.
this thing's actually cool looking and interesting to look at. Whereas the Xbox is like it's a white brick sitting there, but I mean, obviously it's what it does. But Nintendo likes to tinker and get creative with the hardware.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
don't see them getting out of it for a while.
I just I wonder how this is going to impact the cost of video games too, because if they don't have to make consoles anymore and they don't have to make physical copies of games anymore, I would imagine games won't stay at a $70 price point anymore. I can't imagine them staying at that.
I mean, that's only like the few like AAA titles, I guess. Like the real big ones. A lot of the independent ones obviously are cheaper, but I I don't I don't see them coming down from the 70 mark anytime soon. They love it,
No.
I'm sure. They're people are paying it. Fuck it.
Yeah, they're probably not going to. It'd be weird if they lower the price because people are
Right.
already buying them.
Yeah.
So, but not every game is $70 still. There's some
Right.
games that are only
Yeah.
$60. So I
Hmm.
don't know. It's weird. It's
Yeah,
weird.
and it's like some even nowadays still you can still buy like some of them have the Xbox One version or the Xbox X version, so you pay $10 cheaper for the last generation version of the same game. If it's nothing that's too like graphic intensive, then it doesn't really matter. Save
I
a
don't
few bucks
know.
that way, but and then as the new generation comes out, I'm sure they'll probably bump it up another $10. Yeah, on the PlayStation 6.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. According to Xbox Era, there's a business update
Hmm.
next week, not this week. So,
Yeah, they didn't give an exact date or time. It was just Phil Spencer's
yeah.
tweet. He
It
was trying to
says,
like calm some people down, but it actually just added more fuel to the fire, just
yeah,
by him tweeting on it.
it's going to be interesting to see what these guys have to say, because
Hmm.
they've been under fire lately about not
Well, and
selling,
I think there
consoles and stuff.
wasn't there supposed to be a second developers direct. I thought I saw that at the end of the first one. They said there
I
was going to be a
don't
second
know.
one in
I don't
like
know.
February or March or something. So it
I'm
might coincide with that.
I'm
Maybe,
not
I mean,
I'm not certain on that.
I'm pretty sure I heard the announce, the narrator or whatever
Okay,
say, check us in, whatever
gotcha,
for part two.
gotcha.
More games
Yeah,
to look at.
yeah. I don't know. I just think that it's going to be interesting because I think that we're due. I think we're due for a change in the landscape of the gaming industry. I think
Yeah, I mean, it has felt,
you know.
kind of, I don't know, Xbox One and this generation just all kind of seem like the same. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And then, I mean,
Yeah.
360 had a real good thing going on. There's a lot of cool creative stuff there.
Hmm.
But yeah, this last like 15 years has kind of felt the same, other than, the Oculus dropping and the Switch, you know what I mean? But those are the only things that kind of mix it up a little bit. But that
Yeah.
only, the
I don't know,
Oculus only
man.
lasted so long, you know what I mean? That kind of just had its gimmick and then kind of fizzled out.
Yeah. I hope that whatever Xbox is planning, that it's going to be something to revitalize them because they've got all these games set to come out. We got Hellblade 2.
Right.
There's a bunch of other stuff. Avowed coming out, which looks good.
Hmm.
If they're gonna put Starfield on the PS5, where are these games gonna go to? Like,
Right.
it just kind of makes you
Hmm.
wonder.
I mean, yeah, how
You
long
know,
the exclusiveness will actually last? Like three
yeah,
months, probably. Like,
yeah,
and if it's that short of a time, it's like, what's even the point? Because you're not driving up any console sales with a 3 month
yeah.
exclusive.
Now, a
Everybody
lot
will
of
just
people
wait.
have been saying that if Microsoft does decide to go full third party, that's going to be bad for the video game industry. You know, me,
Maybe as a consumer, maybe I don't
I
know.
can
Just
see, I can see that because competition breeds competition, and really,
yeah, I mean, it's just gonna be PlayStation standing tall. Nintendo's not even really trying to directly compete with
yeah,
PlayStation
no, I
hardware
think
wise.
Nintendo's in their own galaxy. They
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
care
yeah.
about.
They're in their own lane. Yeah,
And I think gamers as a whole know that because I think the consensus is I think we all like Nintendo.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think anybody has a problem with
They
Nintendo.
don't have
I
to
think
be
that
top hardware dogs. You know what I mean?
no, and the games they put out have been really great games.
Hmm.
We might be getting a new Switch. I think we're long overdue for a new Switch.
Yeah.
7 years that
Oh
the
yeah.
Switch has been out, and we've
Oh
had
yeah.
nothing yet. So I think we're going to hear about it this year.
Oh yeah.
Don't know if
The,
it's going to come out this year. I think it should come out this
the
year.
rumor mills are brewing, man. I think it'll be
But
out this year
yeah, I think it'll be out this year. Um,
or early next year.
I heard it was a dual screen like
Hmm.
Switch thing, which I don't how I feel about that. I'm just getting visions in my head again of the DS when it
Like
first
a
came
big
out,
DS, yeah.
like a giant ass. Like I don't know if I want that, but that'd be weird. I couldn't imagine holding that bulky thing. Like it'd be
It'd
like
probably
this
be one
big.
of those. It'd be one of those folding ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it would have to be big. Like
Kind
it'd
of like
be.
those phones, that fold now. They have the dual screen. Like, I imagine it to be something like that,
I don't know.
which I'm not a big fan of because they
I'm not
always
a
get
fan of that
crinkled
aesthetic.
up. They always get broke in the middle at the fold point. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Everybody's phone I see, it's like crunched to where they fold it.
I'm not a fan of that aesthetic. I
No,
don't think I want that again. I don't
right?
want the Nintendo Switch DS. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
something
yeah,
weird like that.
yeah,
But that's Nintendo for you, man. They're doing weird. They're always just, like
yeah.
they do the odd and unusual stuff. And I'm here
Right,
for
right.
what they bring.
Yeah, and if
You
it,
know,
like
I'm
we've seen
here
with the
for it.
Wii U, if it doesn't hit, they're quick to jump out and move on to the next project.
Yeah, I'm here for it. Bring it on, Nintendo. I hope that they uh develop a better graphically looking console. I think it's time to
Yeah,
do something about that.
yeah,
They
yeah,
need to up the graphics.
yeah.
Um,
From the rumors I'm hearing, the next one should, look really good, like close to PS5 graphics.
I hope so. I hope so. We love Nintendo. I think you talk to any gamer, while everybody else is busy fighting about their plastic toys,
All
I
right.
think we all agree about Nintendo being a great console. and there's no denying that the Switch has had some amazing titles on it. I just think, I'm interested to see what Xbox does from here on out. It's going to be interesting to see what they say next week. It's a business update. I don't think we've ever had one of those from them before. It's just,
and it wasn't like
that's an
something they were
interesting way to
planning
put
on.
it.
You know what I mean? Obviously, they weren't planning on this. Like an employee leaked this information, and so they're like, well, now we have to address it. You know what I mean? Because we would have heard about this business event coming weeks ago if it was something they were planning on doing. But they're just like, oh shit, like everybody knows, so now we have to address it. Otherwise, if it never leaks, they're never telling anybody till they're like fully ready to. You know what I mean? And I don't think they would have like an event for it. Like
Right.
Like I said, maybe they would announce it at the developers direct, the second one, if or some other kind of event like that. But to make it its own specific event just for that, like, seems kind of like it wasn't really their initial plan.
It's hard to say. I think for Xbox they need to evolve, but also I want to see Sony evolve too. I think that they need to do more too, because like, as much as I love, I play on them all.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna say I spend like equal time on all of them,
Right.
but I do play games on all of them. And for me, I want Sony to start stepping up and doing more and different stuff too, because I think that's, I don't think that they need another company to push them to do that. They need to do that, because my problem with Sony is I feel they've gotten a little too complacent uh, with their environment.
Their
You know what I mean?
status, yeah. I mean, they're
Like,
top dog, yeah.
and when you're the top dog, that's that I feel like they have no motivation to really like dare to be different, and I want them to be
Right.
different too. Like, you know, um, I don't want another Last of Us game. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't want. I don't even want a 3 right
You're
now.
gonna get it.
Oh, I know. I just, like the whole Last of Us Part 2 remaster. Like, why? We didn't. The game came out 4 years ago. It didn't need a
Right.
remaster.
Right.
Like
It's in
you're gonna
4K
make.
now.
Oh
Like,
boy, it
cool.
looks barely prettier than the game before.
Right. It's like I still don't even have a 4K TV,
I
so
just,
whatever.
I feel like that's such a waste of time and
Right.
resources
For sure. It's a
and
money grab.
money.
The show's successful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're like, we got to cash in. You know what I mean? What can we do?
Well, that's a Naughty Dog problem though, because Naughty Dog,
more
like,
product out.
it's like they don't want to make anything else. And it's like, why are you guys not making like
anything?
And that's my problem with Sony, because I feel like Sony has not had a new big IP. Like, they haven't made something different.
I mean,
Like,
we can talk about Death Stranding a little bit.
but
that's different.
That's a sequel. I don't.
Well, I mean, the first one, yeah, I mean, but that's a PS4 game, I guess, technically.
See, my thing is with Sony, and I'll make this comparison to Xbox. So when we had the original Xbox, right, and the OG Xbox had Halo, and that was the game. That was the game.
Oh yeah, that's why you got an Xbox.
A whole new game. And then the Xbox 360 came out, and then people were like, "Ooh, what's the game?" The game was Gears of War.
Right.
We had a new game.
And Halo 3.
But I'm talking like a whole new franchise.
Right, yeah.
That's what I'm talking
with
not
each
about
console,
sequels, nothing like that. None of that shit. I'm talking, show me something I've never seen before. Right. Show me characters I've never seen before. Show me a whole fucking new world I've never seen before. And they did it with Gears of War.
Yeah.
And then the Xbox One came out. The Xbox One came out, and it had Sunset Overdrive. Something I'd never seen before.
Right.
Which, granted, Sunset Overdrive really didn't hit it as hard as Gears of War.
Right.
But it was something new.
Yeah.
And then this generation,
giving up on that.
We've had nothing.
Right.
We've had nothing brand new. Right. Hell yeah, dude. We've had
Gears of War
nothing brand
patch.
new. We've had no brand new world created. That's not an Alan Wake or a Forza or Gears or a Halo or whatever else that's already came out.
Mhm.
Sony has done this shit too. Oh, we're just gonna make remakes of shit that were a generation ago.
Right.
What I mean, I went into GameStop and I was like, show me something new that's exclusive to either of these companies. Show me
Right.
something new. And there's nothing. Nintendo's guilty of it too. You know, I love Zelda.
Right.
Great game, but show me something new. And that's my challenge for all these companies is show us something new. Show us something that isn't an iconic character again or an iconic
Right.
franchise again or
Well, it's like there's so
a
much money
throwback
involved in it
to
now that everybody's
yeah,
too scared to take a jump and do something different. Like
right. And I
they
mean,
have to
yeah,
stay safe enough to make money. You know what I mean?
but see, they're
And
too
that's
safe.
yeah.
It's too safe. I don't want
Hmm.
like look, I loved Alan Wake too. Fan fucking tastic game.
Right.
But I want but at least we got control.
I'd probably
That
love it
was
more if
something
it would
new.
quit crashing on me.
Right? But I mean, we got control and that was something new, something
Right.
different. So
What was that
developers have
one?
the ability. They just don't do it.
Yeah.
You know, they just don't, they just don't do it. I'm gonna look at let's see, PlayStation 5 exclusives. What you got, PlayStation? Oh, PlayStation just
God of
came out with
War.
Foam Stars. That's something new.
Oh,
I
right.
have not played that yet. But like,
No, I've seen the trailer for it though.
but I'm gonna play it because it's new.
Right.
But there's no real like I mean, I'm looking at let's see, PS5 exclusives. What
We
is
got God
exclusive
of
on PS?
War.
Yep, God of War,
Uh,
Astro's Playroom, Demon Souls, Ratchet and Clank, Returnal. That's new. So I
right.
found one. Destruction All Stars. That's new. Did it flop? It did.
Right.
But at least they did it. Death
Right.
Stranding. That was last generation though, but that was
Right.
new.
Yeah.
Right. So, but this generation, we have nothing new. Spider-Man
Right.
doesn't count. Demon
No.
Souls doesn't count. Demon Souls was a
No.
game that came out on PS3.
Mhm.
Ratchet and Clank doesn't count because that's another entry in a series.
Yeah.
Death Stranding director's cut doesn't count because that game came out on PS4. So the only ones you have are Returnal and Destruction All Stars.
Right.
That's it. That's new. That's it. Everything else is attached to another thing that came before it.
Right. Yeah.
So now Xbox
or...
is coming out with Indiana Jones. That's new.
Yeah. I
There
don't
you
know.
go.
Yeah. Has there ever been an Indiana Jones game? Maybe on
There
NES
has been,
or
but they've been
something?
so bad.
Was there one on NES? I feel like I remember
There
seeing
was
that.
on NES, and there was one on Super Nintendo as well.
Okay. Yeah, but as
Almost
far as
certain
like
there was one on the Nintendo 64, and I forget what it's called. I think it's called the
Was
Infernal
there?
Machine. But
Okay.
yes, but within the last 10 years, no.
Yeah.
So, but it's new. It's
It
different.
looks great.
But I mean, but it's kind of not different because it's Indiana Jones.
Yeah, it's already an
so
existing.
it's already got its own world. I
Right.
want show me something I've never seen before. So, I mean, even last gen we had on PS4 Ghostwire Tokyo. Great game.
Oh yeah, I played a lot of it. I never ended up finishing it.
Great
I had
game.
a lot of fun with it.
I never finished it, but still I loved it. I loved what I played of it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, but outside of that, nothing. So, it's like you said, and I know Xbox we can play the same game with Xbox too. I mean, Forza, I think they have a lot less actually.
I mean, we've got as far as new
X,
things, I mean,
not really much of
we
anything
think of
for them
anything.
either.
I mean, we got Halo Infinite, we got Starfield, but those are all kind of existing things.
Starfield was new-ish.
Yeah, but it's
Fallout.
Yeah, or Skyrim in space or Fallout in space, essentially. So it's almost like a reskin. It's a new world, but it feels like a familiar game. It doesn't feel new.
But I'm talking exclusives.
Right.
So like right now it's an exclusive, but it's about to not be.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'm looking at this list, and I mean, right now we Avowed. That's one. I'm
About
not counting
yeah.
timed exclusives because
When
those
did
are going
Sea
to
of
be on
Thieves
others.
come out? Was that an
Fable.
Xbox One title?
Sea of Thieves, yeah, that's one. Yep.
Okay, yeah.
But I mean, show us something new that comes from your console. And we don't have that much anymore. Hellblade 2. I guess they had Hellblade last
Hellblade,
gen.
yeah. Hellblade, yeah.
So that's one.
That one's worth noting for sure.
So
That
I
was
just,
a really good game.
I mean, part of me misses the days of Nintendo and Sega.
Yeah,
because
there was a little competitiveness, and that
because there was competition.
The whole console war talk.
Yeah, because we had competition. We had Sega's got Super Mario World, or I'm sorry, NES has Super Mario World. Sega's got Gunstar Heroes.
Right.
Sonic. Rayman.
Road Rash.
Earthworm Jim. I think, but that was on both.
Yeah.
I mean,
Vector Man.
There were things that only each console had, and now it's like they all just kind of mesh together. There really isn't a whole lot of like, why is this? What makes this brand stand out, and what makes this brand stand out? Outside of Uncharted, God of War, Halo, and that, I want new.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, when I know you're not a big wrestling fan. It's kind of like when, when WWE is like, let's bring The Rock back.
Right.
Let's bring back Stone Cold. Let's remind people why we're WWE. And it's like, okay, fine, but I want to see something new.
Right.
Show me something new. And so they've been doing a really good job of showing me wrestlers I've never seen before. I'm like, okay, that's what I want. And that is what we as gamers want with Xbox and Sony. And Nintendo. Nintendo, you're not left out of this conversation too, because you guys leaned so hard into like Donkey Kong and Mario and Zelda. All that.
Pokemon.
Make a new Mario. Like make a new character.
Right.
Make a new franchise. But see, like you said, Bryce, they don't want to play it safe. They want to play it safe. They don't want to. Safe is what makes them money. But they don't know that because those characters had to be created from something.
Right. Somebody had to take a risk to get where we're at today.
And that's why I miss a lot of that's why a lot of us older people miss the old days of gaming, because people took risks. They took risk to want to make money and get our attention. Now it's like, we'll just do another Gears of War. We'll just do another Halo.
Call of Duty.
And even when they do these another versions, some of them aren't even that great. Like, I used to spend hours on Halo. I barely even play Halo online. I want to, like every time I keep wanting to fire up Halo Infinite, I'm just like, because the greatness isn't there anymore, because it's just the same thing of another thing. It's another thing. Like Call of Duty, I get excited for Call of Duty now, but then I don't play it anymore because it's just like, that's just Call of Duty in the end. Because who wants to eat pizza all the time? Nobody wants to do that. You want to eat different things. That's why, like when we travel, like when Raven and I travel, we don't just say, "Hey, let's go to McDonald's" because it's comfortable. It's comfort food. We know what we're gonna get. No, we go and we try a new restaurant or we try new things. There's always a chance we're not gonna like it, but it's the fun and the curiosity and the discovery.
And then you end up finding something, that you end up loving.
Yes,
that you never would have found. And the same can go for gaming. You find a character that everybody ends up relating to or liking that you didn't expect that you created, or something that just resonates with people and you don't expect it to, and then now you got a big motivational thing for your company.
Exactly. It's about, I wish there were more risks. Like, everybody wants Rockstar now to do Red Dead 3 or do Bully 2. And I'm like, no, do something new. I want new. You guys, gamers, you guys just want the same thing again.
What are we going to do with Red Dead 3? What are we really going to do differently? Like, Red Dead 2 was just amazing.
Hey, I'm happy GTA 6 is coming out, man. Don't get me wrong.
No, yeah.
But I mean, I'm just thinking to myself, but
they always make good, fun storylines. You know what I mean?
What?
For that, so it's
Show me
like an
something
action
different.
movie kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. Show me something different. Like, pique my curiosity. But I think Rockstar Games is at a point now we're like, yeah, we ain't doing that. We want to play safe.
Yeah.
Like,
Like No Man's Sky, man. They took a big risk, you know what I mean? And they ended up falling flat on their face, but they picked themselves up and ended up turning it into something really big.
they made it good because they
And it
kept their
was
word.
a lot different. You know,
Yeah.
it was something very different from anything we've seen. So
Right. I just wish, I hope that with this whole change in Microsoft's business plan, whatever that may be, we will talk about it. Maybe Bryce and I will like react to it or something, or we'll do a live. Maybe we'll go live together and react to
yeah,
it.
if they put out a time and date.
But we will talk about it here on the domain. We're gonna also talk about it here on the next level. So please, before we close out the show, if you haven't yet, subscribe to us on the domain GPC, youtube.com/the domain GPCE, where we talk about all of the things in gaming, pop culture, entertainment. Also, if you're listening to our podcast, we recommend you listen to us on Good Pods. You can subscribe to us there. And unlike a lot of other places, you can actually leave comments on our episodes. You can interact with us. We can even respond to your comments. We want some interaction there. So the best means for us to interact with you and for you to interact with us is to subscribe to us on Good Pods. Good Pods you can download on your Apple or Google devices or Android devices. You can even listen on PC. I was checking out the PC version too. And we are a top 50 podcast on Good Pods, by the way. So thank you for those of you that listen to our show every week. Or maybe you listen or you're catching up on all of our old episodes. You can listen to all of our older episodes too, as we're approaching 70 episodes now on this show, which is crazy. But you are going to see us also. We're going to be on the main podcast stage at PopCon in Indy. And that is actually coming up in a few months. That's going to be in April. So look for us there. We don't know you never know who's going to join us. We had Ming Chen join us last year at PopCon in Indy. And then we're also going to be on the podcast stage at PopCon Louisville. That's like right in my backyard. And which is going to be downtown at the Kentucky International Convention Center this year. They moved venues, so they're closer to my house. And they're going to be downtown in the heart of Louisville, which I'm super excited about. I saw the space there that they're using. It's huge, the massive, massive space this time around. So I'm looking forward to them being there. And so also we're looking at possibly having a booth at PopCon in Indy this year. So you'll be able to meet myself, Bryce, Josh, all of us. And hopefully we'll have some swag for you guys too. And you can talk with us. I'm also going to try to bring out my podcasting equipment and things so we can maybe do some stuff while we're there the whole time. And we'll grab some random people that want to talk with us about stuff. So, but anyway, thanks so much for listening or watching to this episode of The Next Level. And thank you to my podcast tag team partner over here, Mr. Bryce Schumacher, Big BS. Go watch us on Twitch, twitch.tv/the domain GPCE, where myself, Bryce and Josh, we go live. Those guys go live way more often than I do. I'm still building a damn Xbox 360 that's Lego. I gotta finish that thing. It's just been sitting on my kitchen table for like the last 2 weeks. I haven't touched last week or so. So I'll probably have some streams soon. Maybe we'll do some like late night streams where I'm just out there, just kind of like chilling and putting together the Xbox. I also think my next project I'm gonna work on. I'm gonna try to go and pick up the Lego Nintendo set. I'm super stoked for that. There's some place around nearby that I think has it for cheap, so I'm gonna try to pick it up if I can. But anyway, watch us on Twitch. We also go live on YouTube. Not as often, but we're gonna try to pick up the pace on that too and do some more live streams on there. But we do stream sometimes on StreamYard and things like that, where we go live on YouTube and Facebook as well. But without further ado, thanks so much for watching this episode, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Adios, guys.
Sayonara.
See ya.